Police are searching for a hoon menace whose dangerous stunts are driving locals in Blackwood around the bend. The suburb's main roundabout's been turned into a racetrack and the sound is deafening.
It's just after midnight on Friday morning. A hoon pulls up at the Blackwood roundabout. Three men jump out armed with cameras ready to roll on the night's antics. The driver begins doing skids, going around not once, not twice, but more than 30 times. The joyride comes dangerously close to spiralling out of control, and the driver's own camera crew find themselves in the firing line.
I know it is, but they should have picked them up and lock them away for 6 months.
Even when the driver takes off down the back streets, the sound is deafening. The menacing hoon had previously tested the waters. He was captured at the roundabout on the 23rd, as well as the morning and afternoon of Christmas Eve, when he pulled off perhaps his most dangerous stunt, skidding around in traffic.
One of these days, someone is going to end up going in Brushgirdle or come around the corner in our shop.
He just goes around and does circles around the roundabout, so at least someone can navigate it right.
Locals and business owners are fed up with the constant hooning, the burned out rubber making the roundabout appear more like a drag strip.
Do you think there's a lot of people around here who'd like to have a word with him?
I'd say so. There'll be a few fellas wanting to have a quick chat.
Police were called but couldn't find the driver. They're urging anyone who witnesses the same hoon to contact them immediately.
Definitely not something we want to see on any of the Adelaide streets.
Hayden Nelson, 7 News.
More than 100 people have been rescued after becoming stranded on a large ice drift in the United States. The group had been fishing on an ice floe on the Minnesota River. It detached from shore, then drifted away. Locals tried to ferry them back to land using canoes, but 4 people fell into the water. Emergency services spent 3 hours retrieving all 122 anglers. Aussie students are joining an international crusade to light up communities living in poverty. The Melbourne primary school children are building solar lights to donate to villages without electricity.
Wrapping up the year with a gift like no other.
So you've got the solar panel here, which takes about 8 hours to fully charge in the sunlight.
We're up to step 5 and we're putting the screws into the holes.
This is the Solar Buddy program, a lesson in STEM where primary children are taught how to build portable lights, and a lesson in giving.
789 million people in this world live in energy poverty.
These lights will be gifted to children in Papua New Guinea who walk 6 hours each day to attend school and often return home in darkness.
They can't work after hours when it turns dusk or night because they don't have any electricity.
The program has changed thousands of lives since it first began 6 years ago. 78% of children who have received a light have been able to study for longer and gain a more thorough education. It's also reduced the use of dangerous kerosene.
4 million people die a year of energy poverty because of respiratory system diseases, and it also affects the economics and environments.
All up, more than 10,000 lights have now been donated to remote communities in Papua New Guinea, improving the lives of 50,000 children. Yay! Christy Mayer, 7 News.
A YouTuber who illegally posted video of the Bruce Lehrmann defamation trial will face his own day in court. That story's next. Also, thrill seekers take their chances as giant waves hit California. A tall order, the giant fight to save a tree species older than the dinosaur. And later, a talented singer turns the tables on keyboard cowards attacking him. The man behind a YouTube channel that illegally posted online videos of the Bruce Lehrmann defamation trial has been ordered to front court. While the proceedings have been live streamed, viewers are banned from rebroadcasting them. Justice Michael Lee ordered Google to reveal the identity of the person behind the anonymous Feminism Debunked account. He's been named as Glenn Logan and ordered to appear in the federal court in February. Huge waves have pounded California's coast, causing injuries, property damage and sparking evacuation warnings. In some parts, the swell was so large it knocked onlookers off their feet, while while daredevil surfers took the risk to ride them.
Bursting along California's coast, a monster swell powered by an offshore storm. Waves of up to 10 metres exploding over sea walls. The surge sweeping people off their feet, sending others running. The rogue wave putting 8 people in hospital.
I was at the mercy of the power of the waves.
It washed down the street like it was a river.
Streets, homes and businesses feeling the force too. The ocean spectacle pulling a crowd.
Incredibly inspiring, super stoked to be out here.
It was insane.
Those wanting a closer experience took the plunge.
Not an ordinary day. We had the biggest waves we've had in many years.
Warnings remain in place along the coast. Even this lifeguard was overwhelmed. Residents took advantage of a slight reprieve today to prepare their homes for what's to come.
We are expecting higher waves coming in, and it only takes one for you to be washed out.
Authorities warning a second storm is looming and could bring even bigger waves. In the United States, Miley Hogan, 7 News.
South Africa has accused Israel of committing genocide in Gaza, filing a case with the International Court of Justice. South Africa claims acts and omissions by Israel are genocidal in character, intending to destroy Palestinians in Gaza. It also requests the court issue provisional measures, including a ceasefire. Israel's foreign ministry rejects the claims, calling them baseless and blood libel. The Chinese surveillance balloon that was shot out of the sky in the US earlier this year was using an American internet service provider to send information back to Beijing. China still maintains it was a weather balloon that blew off course. Australia is playing a crucial role in a global effort to save a species older than dinosaurs from extinction. The mission to protect our native Woolamai pines has high-profile support from the King himself.
Prehistoric precious cargo packed with care and shipped to botanic gardens across the globe in an emergency effort. Inside the boxes, more than 200 baby Woolamai pines.
This is a unique Australian icon, a living fossil, so to speak.
An insurance policy for a species older than the dinosaurs and under threat.
This has been a project nearly 30 years in the making, and we have conscripted an international team to make this happen. International scientists to help look at the DNA, our scientists here on the ground at the Botanic Gardens.
From North America to Europe and even the UK, where a young Woolamai was planted by the King in Westernburt earlier this month, His Royal Highness giving the conservation effort a royal seal of approval.
The Woolamai pine is such a great story of species survival. I mean, everyone thought this is a type of pine that had been extinct
for 60 million years, until a tiny colony of just under 100 trees was discovered in a remote canyon in the Blue Mountains. A botanical miracle making world headlines. Work has continued non-stop to make sure they don't perish. The Black Summer fires came dangerously close.
This baby Woolamai will grow quickly, up to 1 metre a year, and one day it will tower over us at around 40 metres.
The next challenge, whether the pines will thrive so far from home. Serena Andaloro, 7 News.
His powerful voice made him a fan favourite, but he's been targeted by online trolls. How Shaun Mills has had the last laugh. That's coming up next. Also, beautiful one day smashed by storms the next. Queensland hammered again. And later, new hope of funding for trials to beat deadly pancreatic cancer. St Vincent's Health could be fined over a data hack targeting its Sydney and Melbourne hospitals, as the sites are considered critical infrastructure. Home Affairs would have to find it was negligent and failed international cyber safety standards.
For more than 10 days now, we don't know who did this attack, what data they've taken and where it is now. And frankly, that's not good enough.
St Vincent's and the government are yet to say if patient data has been compromised. An Australian singer bullied online over his rare disability has surged to the top of the UK charts. His success comes after he decided to embrace one of the cruelest comparisons and turn it on its head.
He burst onto the scene on The Voice this year, his powerful vocals making him a fan favourite. But not all of the attention was kind. Social media trolls targeted Shaun Millis over his rare genetic condition, Hunter syndrome. Mocking him for his resemblance to Manchester United player Rasmus Højlund. And every week he was left wanting, trolls sent him this. But rather than let it get him down, Shaun embraced the likeness.
We love and respect you, Højlund. You got this. Let's go. I was like, I have to support Højlund. So I jumped on it. Højlund, you've done it. You're a legend, man.
And suddenly Shaun was celebrating a miracle of his own.
You are #1 in the UK on the viral charts.
You're joking. I've never been first at anything.
No more waiting. His debut single is now a certified hit.
I couldn't expect the response. I'm kind of speechless.
And Shaun's having the last laugh. Jacinta Lee, 7 News.
He showed them. Well, few forms of cancer are deadlier than pancreatic, but there's renewed hope that successful clinical trials overseas will be funded here. Don't miss that story a little later in 7 News. Queensland has again been lashed by storms, dumping hundreds of mils of rain in just hours. The wild weather saw hail, lightning and flash flooding stretch from the Sunshine Coast to Brisbane.
The first shots were fired at 8 o'clock this morning as yet another assault on the southeast rolled in.
We're seeing severe thunderstorms with locally damaging winds.
Hammering Brisbane's north, Anzac Avenue at Petrie Wash as drivers took their chances and waded in. In the city, families ran for cover as the rain pelted down. The region between Brisbane and the Sunshine Coast received a bucketing. Beaton recorded 126 millimetres in a matter of hours. Landsborough received over 70 mils in just 30 minutes. Kalanga 74 millimetres and Woody Point 54 millimetres of rain. Those totals all since 9 this morning.
With this heavy rain, we may see some increased risk of flash flooding.
This gives you an idea of just how heavy and how quickly those rains came and affected Beerburrum Road here, cutting off holidaymakers who just simply can't get to their destination. Some tested the waters before wisely deciding to turn back. Other parts of the coast also bared the brunt of the storm cell, knocking over trampolines in Glenview. With Mother Nature now showing her might in Mooloolaba. Down trees blocked motorists in Yandina, while backyards in Landsborough going under. The Western Downs also hit.
Locally destructive winds, giant hail and intense rainfall. And as we speak, we're already seeing this activity occurring out in the Western Downs, with giant hail already being reported at Tara, with hailstones up to 4 to 5 centimetres.
That damaging hail the size of golf balls left a pockmarked trail of destruction.
Wow, look at that one, it's huge. Look at that one over there, it's huge.
The Bayside, still reeling from storms earlier in the week, was hit again by rain and strong winds.
And the Bureau has briefed us that some of those could be severe, and the first priority has to be the safety of our emergency service paid and volunteer staff, as well as our energy workers. And so those storms today could well delay those reconnection timeframes.
Meaning some could ring in the new year in darkness.
4 young dirt bike riders have been caught on camera risking their lives with a series of dangerous stunts down a busy Sydney street. The group was spotted in the western suburbs around lunchtime performing wheelies and gesturing to nearby drivers. One eyewitness told 7 News they nearly killed themselves. Well, time for sport now, Tom. Pakistan's feeling a little hard done by.
Well, the coach says they're in fact cursed by the umpiring technology and believes that they should have won the match. We'll have Pat Cummins' response to that. Also coming up, a record-breaking night for Chris Lynn. Wasn't enough to get the Strikers over the line against the Renegades. A son of a gun follows in his famous father's footsteps, joining the Dogs in 2024. And South Australia's only participant in this year's Sydney Hobart yacht race reaches dry land. Hello again. Pat Cummins has dismissed claims by Pakistan that umpiring technology is cursed and the wrong team won the Boxing Day test. At the peak of his powers, Cummins seems cool about everything. Controversy, fatherhood, captaincy, joining an elite club and even David Warner's Sydney Test farewell.
Early tea time for Usman Khawaja. An early end of the Boxing Day test meant daycare duty for teammates, including Pat Cummins. Clearly in a great space.
Across the test match, you wouldn't know what the score is based upon his body language, and I think that's the art of captaincy.
The skipper sharp, reviewing Mohammad Rizwan's dismissal. Not out, overturned when replays reveal contact between glove and ball. Pakistan blowing up.
I believe inconsistent umpiring. Technology curse really given us the result which should have been different.
Cool. Yeah, they played well. But yeah, glad we got the win.
The game changer. Josh Hazlewood bowling Bubba Azam.
That was huge. Yeah, just went up another gear, I think.
Having grown into captaincy, the pace bowler's now among some of the game's giants. His 10-wicket haul won the Player of the Match Johnny Muller medal. Joining teammates Nathan Lyon and Mitch Starc, plus Shane Warne, Glenn McGrath and Dennis Lilly in Australia's top 10 all-time wicket takers. Some feat after 4 years out of cricket due to serious back injuries.
I think the thing that's most satisfying is, the longevity that it takes to hit a few of those milestones, especially after missing a few years when I was a bit younger.
The captain also cool about a farewell for David Warner in his final test.
Just keep rolling on to Sydney, the Davey Circus or whatever you want to call it.
Andrew McKinlay, 7 News.
The Adelaide Strikers' terrible Big Bash away form has continued, going down by 4 wickets to the Renegades at Marvel Stadium last night. Chris Lynn top scored for Adelaide on a history-making night for the veteran, as poor catching cost the Strikers any chance of a win.
They say catches win matches.
Oh, it would have been one of the great catches.
Chasing 178 for victory, Melbourne's Jake Fraser-McGurk smashed a 22-ball 50 after the Strikers gifted him a number of lifelines.
So he hasn't got nearly enough of that. Oh, and that is almost inexcusable, really.
The 21-year-old belted 70 off just 37 balls. He and Sean Marsh eating away most of the run chase as the Renegades won their first game of the season with 8 balls to spare.
The Renegades get a win on the board.
Earlier in the evening, Adelaide got off to a slow start.
Drops that short, he's gone. He holds out, he picked out the fielder, and it's a huge breakthrough.
Darcy Short and Chris Lynn combined for an 82-run partnership. The latter blasted 4 sixes, including his 200th in the BBL, 82 more than the next best.
And again, he goes huge. It's a second deck up.
Lynn also became the first man to score 3,500 runs in the Big Bash, but he couldn't prevent Adelaide from falling to its 8th straight loss away from home. Tomorrow night, the Strikers host the Stars in their traditional New Year's Eve clash.
They're obviously a great side. They're on a couple of wins in a row, so it's not going to be an easy game, and we've got to be on the money, and certainly we'll be doing that to try and put on a show for the Adelaide fans.
Robbie Cornthwaite, 7 News.
Central District champion Ian Cullinan was widely regarded as one of the most skillful players the Sandful has ever seen, and his son Jack might be just as smooth. After going undrafted, the young Tasmanian will follow in his dad's footsteps after signing with the Bulldogs for 2024.
Jack Cullinan is a chip off the old block.
Cullinan!
Look at that for a finish.
Jack Cullinan.
But he's not quite the same as Dad Ian.
A lot as a junior, I got compared to Dad a lot. And then I think sort of as I got older and taller, I sort of developed my game a little bit. Probably a little bit better overhead and things like that. But he'll probably hate me saying that. But it's probably the truth.
It's a tough comparison. Ian played in 4 premierships at the Dogs and finished as one of the all-time greats of the Sandful. And Jack was lucky enough to see his old man in his prime.
You know, sitting at the fence, watching all the games out at the Ponderosa and cheering the boys on. And then, you know, when they get the win, usually running out of the ground or something like that.
Ian's story is one of perseverance. At the age of 28, after dominating dominating every state league he played in, he was picked up by the Crows. Jack was unlucky not to be selected in the draft, but he's still firmly on the radar of several AFL clubs, and Dad's already given him some sound advice before he starts his football journey.
I think it's just being competitive with everything you do and just getting the best out of yourself with everything you do, whether that's a training or in a game on a Saturday, outside of hours.
Andrew Hayes, 7 News.
A big crowd was on hand as Rafa Nadal took to the court with old sparring partner Andy Murray in preparation for the Brisbane International. Last night, Alex de Minaur got his campaign off to a shaky start with a tough 3-set loss to Great Britain's world number 18 Cameron Norrie at the United Cup.
Kind of water off the duck's back, move on, looking at a positive mindset. Then, last year I was in the same situation and I lost in 2 sets and I ended up having a pretty good year.
His girlfriend Katie Bolter ruined Isla Tomiljanović's first match on home soil for almost 2 years. Down in the Aussie in straight sets, Britain won the tie 2-1. Well, Josh Giddey had a tough outing against NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets. The Aussie picked himself up and finished with 12 points. 40 from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander led Oklahoma to a 119-93 win as the Thunder leapfrogged the Nuggets into second in the Western Conference. And more than 3 days of treacherous soul-searching sailing was worth every second for the crew of Hobart-based yacht Alive, confirmed as overall winners and holders of the treasured Tattersall Cup today. They won a 3-way scrap with URM and Moneypenny.
To be able to race with them at such close quarters, with the leads changing all the time throughout the race, was very exciting.
It's a wonderful sensation. It's life doesn't really get much better.
Clockwork, South Australia's only entrant in this year's race, crossed the finish line late this afternoon, just under 100 hours after departing Sydney Harbour on Boxing Day. Beat the 100-hour mark by 4 minutes, which is a remarkable achievement.
100 hours on the sea, that's no small feat.
Yeah, on the boat and with the same people, that's tough.
Slow and steady finishes the race. Thank you, Tom. Well, a potentially game-changing trial is delivering hope to sufferers of pancreatic cancer. The disease is dubbed a death sentence with barely any improvements to survival rates in 4 decades.
Just after Katie Bryant's 45th birthday,
I started to get pain sort of in my breastbone and radiating at the top of my back.
Pain so extreme she felt faint and needed to lie down.
And I was told it was anxiety. I was, an office worker. It was my back pain from that. It was indigestion, but I knew it was something more serious.
And it was. Katie had an aggressive form of pancreatic cancer.
You have a 10% chance of being alive in the next 5 years. Pretty hope-destroying, really.
After surgery and 6 gruelling months of chemotherapy, it was gone, but in a devastating twist.
Within a year of me finishing treatment, someone within my family, my husband's mother, had died of the same cancer.
It's known as the silent killer, with 30% of cases detected at stage 3, 50% at stage 4, meaning it's already spread to other parts of the body and too late for surgical intervention, claiming the lives of over 3,500 Australians every year.
We need to change those numbers, and we need to change those numbers quickly.
Pomola, a new potentially life-saving clinical trial out of the UK, is a good start. It's just been granted more than $250,000 in funding here in Australia.
Not only does it improve survival, but there are a small group of people that seem to do exceptionally well.
A glimmer of hope to those who've already exhausted all other treatment options.
Clinical trials are absolutely essential.
There's breakthroughs all the time, and you just don't know which one is going to be the breakthrough.
Heather Miller, 7 News.
It's been a cool grey day for late December. Your weather outlook is coming up after the break.
It's looking like a sunny start to the new year. I'll have the full forecast coming up live from Elder Park.
As the day breaks,
the news breaks on sunrise.
The unfolding fire emergency. Breaking news, the Middle East is at flashpoint.
Start with what's unfolding.
The winds have picked up massively.
Start with the team Australia trusts.
One of the biggest issues that's facing the country at the moment.
Start with sunrise.
Well, time for the weather now with Emily, who joins us from Elder Park again. And Em, they're expecting a big crowd for New Year's Eve tomorrow night.
That's right, Elle. Organisers are expecting a crowd of up to 80,000 to filter through Elder Park tomorrow night. Many will be on their way to the Strikers match at Adelaide Oval, but plenty more will set up along the riverbank here to view the fireworks and ring in the new year. They'll have pretty perfect conditions for it too. In the city today, we reached an overnight low of 13.4. We reached a top of 21.8, and right now it's around 18 degrees. Around the state, skies remained mostly clear with temperatures sitting below average. Port Augusta had a top of 25. Edithburgh and Mount Gambier reached 21. A high pressure system southwest of WA extends a ridge over the state. This high pressure system will track south over the weekend with another high pressure system following next week. Interstate, wet and wild in Brisbane tomorrow. Showers and a possible thunderstorm, 31. 24 in Sydney, 21 in Melbourne, and sunny in Perth, 31 there. Back home, it's looking mainly clear and sunny across the state. 33 for Roxby Downs, 30 in Port Augusta, 25 in Whyalla, 29 for Port Pirie and Renmark, 22 for Port Lincoln and Kingscote, 25 in Murray Bridge, 20 and mostly sunny in Victor Harbour, 26 in Narracourt, and cloud clearing in Mount Gambier, 23. In the city tomorrow, down to 12 overnight before a sunny and dry 26. And we should hover around the 16-degree mark as the clock strikes midnight. On metro waters, winds southeasterly to 15 knots, tending southwesterly to 20 knots, seas increasing to 1.5 metres. Looking ahead, a sunny day to start the new year, 28, 30 and partly cloudy on Tuesday, 28 and a possible shower on Wednesday, 27 on Thursday and Friday, 30 on Sunday. And if this forecast is anything to go by, 2024 is shaping up to be a much brighter year for all of us. Elle?
Well, that's good news indeed. Thank you, Em. And that's all the news to now. I'll have updates throughout the evening from all of the Adelaide 7 News team. For now, it's good night.